Hello, and welcome to the Leather and Lace podcast. I'm Joanna, and this week I am taking a moment to let you know about a big change happening on this show. When this podcast was created, the mission was to challenge tribal thinking because it separates people and it turns us into enemies and it forces us into these rigid identities when what we really need is to come together. While the mission to inspire unity is still very deeply important to me, I felt called to do something a little bit different and to step into a creative direction that can only be realized by going solo. And Ken, my former co-host, being the amazing and loving person that he is, completely honored and supported that calling. So Ken, thank you so much for supporting this new creative direction, and I wish you well on your creative adventures. So, what now? While I initially focused on disrupting narratives of separation and helping us find common ground in a world that feels so increasingly polarized, I've come to realize that I have an even stronger passion for inspiring people to feel more connected and more balanced, first and foremost, within themselves. Internally, which of course makes sense because all the separation, all the division, the tribalism, and the black and white thinking that we're experiencing in our collective reality is just a reflection of the fragmentation within each of us. And something that connects all of us is the experience of internal struggle. You know, the struggle between logic versus intuition, our need for control versus our call to surrender, our human desires versus our spiritual principles. Sadly, we live in a world that often pressures us to choose between one or the other and to define ourselves in a way that fits neatly into these boxes. But I don't think we have to choose, because to choose one over the other is to deny an entire aspect of ourselves as if it didn't exist. I mean, what if true alignment isn't about picking one aspect of ourselves over another, but is about integrating all of who we are? You know, the good with the bad, the light with the shadow, the physical with the spiritual. Well, that's what this podcast wants to explore, that sacred tension between body and spirit. At its heart, Leather and Lace will be about bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual, the seen with the unseen, like blending leather with lace, so that we can move through life with a deeper sense of connection, clarity, and purpose. When we learn to hold space for our full experience, you know, our strength with our softness, our physical reality with our spiritual nature, our knowing with our uncertainty, that's when we become our whole selves and are able to hold space for real connection, both within ourselves and with others. All right, friends and allies in creating a more beautiful and unified world, thank you so much for spending time with me this week. I hope you come back for more so you can experience these changes with me, because starting next week, a new episode of the Leather and Lace podcast will be dropping every Thursday. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on new episodes. Until then, if you're excited for my first real episode next week, or if you want to support this channel, please do me a favor and like this video, because that kind of engagement is so helpful to the podcast. Also, I want to know your thoughts. What difficulties do you have integrating your physical reality with your spiritual knowings? Tell me about it in the comments section, please. Okay, until next week, stay grounded and embrace the sacred. Love and light, friends.